but we're here for WWFF. Now, I like to start off to kind of get a feel of how long people have been doing this. So, when did you start your pick fed?
Well, this particular one, I started it back in 2020. And then I took a break for, I don't know, 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back in June of 2021, and I've been doing this consistently since.
Wow. So
I'd
was
like
it
to say thanks for, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for joining, man. It's just an hour show that talked about some pick fedders. But yeah, that sounds great. So was it when you started in 2020? Was it still WWFF or was it something else?
I think it was WFE.
WWFE. Okay.
And then I realized somebody else had the same name, and I was like, well, oh, shit. So I had to change it.
Yeah, I noticed there's some other BWS, but I've already got the logo and I've already printed out so much stuff. It's just too big of a hassle to change it. But yeah. So looks like you already got a lot of your guys lined up as your current champions. Could you go over who your champions are and what championship they hold?
All right. So I'll move this camera here. So on the left, we'll start with Hardy Boys. They're my tag team champions. They just recently won the tag team championships at my last pay-per-view, Civil War. They defeated Red Dragon. Then we have Kevin Steen here, who's the United States champion, who I had him defeat Adam Cole, also at Civil War. Behind the figure of myself, I got Bobby Lashley, who is the new WWFF champion, who beat Roman Reigns at the Civil War pay-per-view. Then we have El Hijo del Fantasma. I'm sure that's not how you correctly pronounce that. But anyways, he is my Cruiserweight champion, and he's also the Cruiserweight champion of another company that is kind of in the same universe as my Fed. So he's the undisputed Cruiserweight champion. We then have Keith Lee, who's my European champion, and he's been champion since May of this year. And then we have Pac here, who is the new openweight champion. That's a new championship I just introduced. I unified the light heavyweight championship and the hardcore championship, and we now have an openweight championship. So you have to defend that. It's a new belt.
Sounds awesome, man. So in wrestling, you got to have rivalries. You got to have big storylines. What are your biggest storylines going on right now? And what do you think your biggest rivalry was of your history, your pick fed history?
So I guess we'll start with the history. The biggest rivalry I've had in the history was probably the recent storyline that had just come to a conclusion, and that would have been between the Alliance, which was a group that consisted of Roman Reigns, the Young Bucks, Undisputed Era, Phantasma back there, and Paul Heyman was also part of the group. And that was them versus myself and Triple H, the general manager, and they were trying to steal my company from me. So kind of like for this entire year, they've done nothing but attack everybody and, try to do underhanded tactics to get the championships. And at one point in time, they did have almost all of the championships except for the European Championship and the Openweight Championship. And that storyline just concluded at the Civil War pay-per-view. The side with the most wins at the end of the show would have gotten ownership of the company and could have done whatever they wanted. So it was either my side, the WWFF wins, and I'm the owner, or the Alliance wins, and Paul Heyman is the owner. But as you guys, if you watch the pay-per-view of Saw, my side won.
Mm-hmm.
So. And what was the other question you asked about storylines?
I just wanted to know some of your biggest rivalries and stuff that you had going on. And
currently, I have this episode of Warzone. I had to delay it 2 weeks. It comes out 1 week from comes out Monday. Um, Essentially, I don't know if you guys watched the Civil War pay-per-view, but Karrion Kross, or Killer Kross, whatever you want to call him, he
Mm-hmm.
debuted and attacked Bobby Lashley after he won the title. So that's going to be something that gets addressed. Phantasma defeated Rey Mysterio in Civil War, via a low blow when the ref wasn't looking. So that's going to be something that's going to be addressed. Also, we'll find out who the Hardy Boys will end up facing at the my Christmas pay-per-view that's coming up, Xmas High Flyers. So at the moment, right now, it's kind of a transitional phase. The big storyline have ended.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wrapping things up for the year, going into my Christmas pay-per-view, which is kind of one of my bigger shows. And then this coming January, I'm going to take a break, and um, I'll take a break for a month, and then come back February and really get things going again.
All right. That sounds great, man. So you kind of gave us a little bit of your plans there by taking a month off. Um, After that month, what is your plans going further with your Fed?
Well, I want to get some storylines established. Storylines revolving around each championship. Um, and it kind of like all my storylines around a championship, because I feel like in pro wrestling, the ultimate goal is to be a champion. So I feel like, yes, there's rivalries where people hate one another, but I feel like the ultimate goal for everyone in the end is to be a champion. And so I got to establish some storylines coming this new year. There's some guys that I've had, some teams and some single stars who I have been doing very well. And, I want to get those guys to the point where they're in line for a championship shot. I'm going to unveil a new world championship simply for the fact of I have this metal and like cloth one here for my
Yeah,
WFF championship. And if you can see, it's like the fake leather is starting to peel off,
yeah,
which is annoying because this is a really cool belt.
yeah. It
So
is.
I'm going to have to unveil a new championship simply for that reason. And I kind of have in mind what I want to pick, but maybe I'll let, the fans pick.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
don't.
fun. That's a good idea. Always having fans vote on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I've also been thinking about potentially doing a draft, only because I feel like my roster is loaded at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I won't. I'm not really sure on that yet. But definitely a new championship will be something I do. Um, and, that's pretty much it for now. I'm also going to do a cruiserweight tournament. The winner gets a championship match with Phantasma. And there will be some, surprise people in that tournament.
All right, that sounds awesome. So that draft thing, that's something I really want to do because that's what I used to like. I love the GM mode of old wrestling games. I just feel like the draft is just a fun video to do. But right now I'm just doing the developmental show. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of great stuff going forward for you. So you mentioned this. Uh, your upcoming show pay per view is your upcoming show is next Monday, and that's Warzone. And your upcoming pay per view is the Christmas show,
Yeah, it's called Xmas High Flyers.
Xmas High Flyers.
Yeah.
So,
There's an interesting backstory to why it's that weird of a name.
mm-hmm.
Anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. You want me to tell the story? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So, like, I've been doing that show since I was a little kid. Like, I don't know. We're going back, like, whenever I'd probably been, I don't know, 10 years old or so. So every Christmas, what I would do is, see, like, I've been writing storylines for wrestling since I was a kid, since I was, like, 10 years old. And
Wow.
so I used to, when I would play with them still, I would write, storylines, and then I would act it out with the figures. And so every Christmas, I would do a pay-per-view called Xmas High Flyers, and I would go like really all out for it. I'd build a stage and get all this Christmas themed stuff, and the marquee matchup of the show would always be a ladder match, and it was kind of like Money in the Bank, except it wasn't Money in the Bank. I would do Money in the Bank separately. So the winner would get a briefcase, and they would earn a championship match of their choosing. And where it differed from Money in the Bank was you could challenge for any championship. You could challenge for the tag team championship. You just have to pick a partner. You could do the world championship. It could be whatever. So
Yeah.
I would usually use the new figures I got from Christmas. They would be like surprise entrants,
Yeah.
They'd be like the wild card, so to speak, like how AEW does that.
Hmm.
But that's something I've always done, and I've continued to do that now since I've been fedding for the past few years. And this year will be no different. That ladder match is happening again, and the briefcase, the winner will get the briefcase, and there's going to be some surprise entrants, some debuts, and a return.
Wow. Sounds like people need to watch that and have some great stuff going on there. I've had some of these people haven't answered these questions very often because they're kind of controversial, but we'll go on with the easy ones. What are some of your top 5 pick feds right now?
I mean, it's hard to say currently. I mean, I would say GZW, that wrestling bro guy. I think you might know who I'm talking about. I always enjoyed CCW, Wrestling Fed, BCW. I like OCW. He's kind of a newer pick fed. AOPW is always great.
Yeah, speaking of him, that's going to be in talks with him. So
yeah, he's really, really good, and I've always enjoyed. He's really good, well-rounded. I think because he's got good storylines, great posing. His matches are interesting to watch. I really enjoy his stuff. He's always got some cool stuff going on. And there's some other feds. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. I mean, what was that one? I think it was like BWF or something. I think I can't remember who it is, but he's got some cool stuff. Like he's got really good storylines. I can't remember what the Fed is. It's similar color scheme to you. It's
I think
purple and black.
I think I've seen him before. I don't know.
I mean, I check stuff out too. I'm not like kissing up to you, but there's plenty of people I check out that I try to consistently look at. So it's kind of pick 5, but there is a few really good ones that come to mind.
Yeah, it's hard to pick. I understand, man. So there's a lot of guys out there that just now starting out, maybe got like 200 followers or less. So you probably call these guys underrated. What are some of your top underrated pick feds that you think people should go out and follow and check them out?
Well, I said that OCW pick fed. He's got some good stuff. And he's a nice guy. I really can't think of any other ones in particular with their follower count because I just look at their stuff. I haven't paid that close attention. But he's one I could think of, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this one a lot of people don't like to answer, but what are some of your overrated pick feds that are like highly praised, but you just don't find them very good at all?
There's a few of them. I mean, I'm not going to say who, but there's definitely a few of them that come to mind.
Yeah.
Simply for the fact of, like, I don't get why. Like, they're okay. And on the same hand, it's hard for me to sit here and say, like, something's overrated because there's so many different styles to doing this. Like, everyone has their own spin to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I try not to, especially with this in particular, I try not to be very critical of people just for the fact of I don't want to deter one from trying to, share their creativity because I feel like, when you do that, you might miss out on somebody who could be very good one day. But with that said, yes, there is a few Feds that come to mind where I think they are a little over.
Alrighty. Well, we'll kind of take a U-turn here and go through, instead of pick Feds, I mean, you can still talk about it in these answers, but what are some of your favorite wrestling matches of all time?
Oh, man. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is WrestleMania 17, the triple threat ladder match with the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and
Uh-huh.
Christian, and then Rhino gets involved, and Lita gets involved, and Spike Dudley.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just an awesome match. I mean, it's a car crash. Like, everything in the match looks good, too. Even whenever they're brawling at the beginning, like, the punches look good. I mean, Jeff Hardy's jumping off of ladders. People are going through tables. Like, it is a awesome, fast-paced, brutal car crash match. Uh, it's like one of my favorite matches of all time. Um, some of my other favorite matches would be, recently I watched a blood sport match, and it was between Minoru Suzuki and Josh Barnett, and it was like, a catch wrestling sort of match. So it was like a real, like an actual wrestling match, but it was like an MMA crossover almost sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Very cool match to watch. Like, I really enjoyed that. That was really cool. Some other matches that I enjoyed: Jeff Hardy versus The Undertaker on an episode of SmackDown, and
Mm-hmm.
it was an Extreme Rules match. And I think if he won, Vicky Guerrero was the GM at the time. If he won, he got like a championship match. That's a good one. CM Punk and John Cena, whenever he
Uh-huh.
took the title and left the company.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other good ones here. I mean, most of the WrestleMania 17 was great.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
watched that not too long ago while working.
oh, that is such a great pay-per-view. Like, that is a really good pay-per-view. Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Hardy, back in the SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam, and it was for the hardcore title. It was a ladder match. It was like 2001 or something.
Hmm.
Let's think of one more. I really enjoyed not this past WrestleMania, but one before, the triple threat with Roman Reigns and Edge and Daniel Bryan. Like, that was a good match. That was a very good triple threat.
Yeah. Well, those are some great answers. Just some answers that I haven't heard yet, so that's great. Uh, there's a lot of companies in wrestling throughout history. What are some of your favorite companies? It could be WWE, AEW, WCW, ECW, any company you can think of that you're just like, yeah, that's my favorite.
Well, ECW comes to mind because I've gone back and watched a lot of ECW. And then I've even watched the ECW reboot. And I mean, that was really not that good, but it was okay
Yeah.
for the first while.
Mm-hmm.
And and then God, people are sending me stupid texts right now. And then and then that was good. The one night stand pay-per-views, man, those were like amazing. Like, that's something that I like want to tell people to go back and watch. Like, that's what you need to watch. The first one night stand and the second ECW one night stand, they're tremendous. But yeah, ECW, WWE. I mean, how could you not say WWE? I mean, that's like where everyone begins their pro wrestling journey.
Mm-hmm.
GCW is pretty interesting because they have a wide variety of like different things that they do. I'm not going to say I like everything that they do, but they have some pretty
Yeah.
cool ideas, like Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. Uh, you know, then I would have to say Ring of Honor. So like Ring of Honor in the 2000s, when you had Punk and Danielson and Claudio, and then I also really enjoyed Ring of Honor in the early 2010s, whenever it was like Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, Evan Steen, Davey Richards, the Briscoes. Like, I remember watching that whenever it was on, like, at a really weird time on a Saturday, and I remember just like seeing these Kevin Steen storylines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, that was really cool, especially like, he had that ladder match with Al Generico, Sami Zayn. Like,
Yeah.
that, I enjoyed that era of Ring of Honor. And like Steve Corino and Kevin Steen had a match. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, sounds like you got a lot of different taste in your wrestling. So, what's your favorite show to watch right now? And of like when you were a kid, what was your show that you watched all the time?
Well, when I was a kid, it was probably SmackDown.
SmackDown.
And
Mm-hmm.
then, maybe like whenever I was kind of like a preteen or a young teenager, I liked Impact Wrestling. Whenever it was still like TNA, but it was like TNA Impact, and Jeff Hardy was champion. Um, Currently, though, I enjoy watching Raw and SmackDown. I try to watch Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite every. I usually record them because I can't watch them when they're on. But
Right.
um, yeah, I mean, I'd have to say probably Raw has been my favorite recently, like for most of this year.
Hmm.
Um, I think Raw has been like the best. So
Alrighty. So, there's a bunch of moments that happen in wrestling. What are some of your favorite moments? It could be a surprise debut, a return, just something that happened in a match or a match in general. What are some of your favorite moments from wrestling?
Um, well, when Jeff Hardy finally became WWE champion, like that was a big deal for me as a kid.
Hmm.
Um, like that was awesome. Like the underdog story, like, and the matches were always good, and it was just that was so cool. Um, and then I remember when CM Punk did the pipe bomb promo. I remember watching it when it happened live, and that was so awesome. Like that promo, that was great. And then when CM Punk, won the title, that was a cool moment when he beat Cena and left. Um, some other cool stuff would be like whenever I remember when Undertaker and Triple H had both like left WWE for like a year, and then they returned. I want to say they returned in 2012. This had to be 2012. They returned, and they both stared each other down, and like they were good. They looked at the WrestleMania sign, like that was really cool. Ric Flair's retirement, like that was something that was, like that was a really good, well told story.
Yeah,
That was
the first
actually
time.
one of the first things that I remember like watching wrestling because I had started watching it a little later. Like I don't know, 7 years old. I remember that, like that was, the big thing. Um, and I don't know, like there's so many good moments, but those would be like the ones that stand out to me. Like that, those would be, some of my favorites.
Yeah, there's all great moments in wrestling and just some great memories there. Uh, you named a lot of wrestlers so far. From what I can understand, Jeff Hardy might be one of your favorite, but who are some of your favorite wrestlers of all time?
Um, well, of all time, well, I would have to say CM Punk, Bobby Lashley, Jeff Hardy, Triple H for sure, Undertaker, Matt Hardy, um, you know, Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens, whatever you want to call him.
Mhm.
Keith Lee is one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's awesome.
There's plenty of people. I have to go with like some ECW guys like Sabu, Van Dam. Um, just really like those are probably some of my favorites. So there's so many I could pick, but those would be like my absolute favorites.
So some great choices. CM Punk's one of my top favorites, so I agree on that part. I think we kind of talked. I don't think we have, but you kind of mentioned storylines when you're talking about your moments. But what are some of your favorite storylines in wrestling history, like the Shawn Undertaker WrestleMania storylines? One of my favorites. What is some of yours that you can remember?
Well, um, pretty much the whole era, like when CM Punk was, you know, before he like the pipe bomb, and then everything after that, like his whole championship run. That was like a really good, like all the storylines involving that. He was like this counterculture guy against the company, and then he hated Triple H, but yet they were kind of on good terms. I remember whenever they did the whole roster, like I don't know what you would say. They like kind of did like a walkout,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like Sheamus, CM Punk, maybe John Cena and Triple H. So like those were the only people there that showed up. So I think Triple H was a referee. Uh, Somebody, I don't remember who was on commentary. Maybe it was CM Punk. But anyways, I remember that episode, and then later on, everybody came out. Um, some other good storylines would have been. But this one probably isn't a popular one, but I really enjoyed the Jeff and Matt Hardy storyline. With the
Yeah.
dog collar and the trailer burning down and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Trying to think here. I really enjoyed Bobby Lashley's first WWE Championship run. As part of the Hurt Business with MVP. Uh, you know, I'd have to say, like during the Attitude Era, whenever you had, like The Rock, and he was, what was he like, part of the Alliance at first,
Yeah.
and then he turned against him, and then it was like the McMahon Helmsley era, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed. That was like, what was it? Triple H and Stephanie and DX, and they were fighting against like The Rock and Stone Cold and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. And I guess as a kid, I also enjoyed like Jeff Hardy's championship run, and I really enjoyed Triple H's like 2008, 2009 championship run.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed like most of the storylines he was a part of then, especially whenever he crashed Edge and Vicky Guerrero's wedding, and he had his gift for the wedding was showing the footage of Edge cheating on Vicky Guerrero. I think he had like a present box with a sledgehammer in it.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Those are some great storylines there. The Jeff and Matt one, I know a lot of people hated because they didn't want to see them broke apart. But when you got the tag team splitting apart, it's just easy, great storyline there. So
It
I
can
know,
be, sure.
yeah, can be, but yeah. So you mentioned WrestleMania 17 earlier. What are some of your other favorite pay-per-views?
Um, so I enjoyed the Invasion pay-per-view 2001 whenever the WWF had bought out ECW and WCW.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually kind of a similar show to my recent Civil War pay-per-view, like, the side
Right.
with the wins at the end gets control. I really enjoyed that show. The old Insurrection pay-per-views from like 2001, 2002, that was whenever, that was like their UK show, their UK pay-per-view they used to do. SummerSlam 2008 was really good. I enjoyed SummerSlam 2009. The ECW One Night Stand, the 2005 and then 2006, like those were both awesome shows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think what else here. Oh, I watched ECW Heatwave. I can't remember what year it was, but I really enjoyed that pay-per-view too. So yeah, there's a handful of pay-per-views I really enjoy watching. My favorite, though, like you said, would be WrestleMania 17.
Alrighty. So you got your tag team champs right there, the Hardy Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming they're your favorite tag team, but what are some of your other favorite tag teams?
Well, the Hardys, like you said, Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. I like them a lot because they're like legitimate martial artists, and legitimacy is a big thing for me in wrestling,
Yeah.
especially with storytelling. Um, DX, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big team for me that I especially like when I was a kid, and they kind of did their final run. I really enjoyed that. I know that wasn't like his most favorite iteration of DX, but I really enjoyed it. The Brothers of Destruction, and specifically Biker Undertaker and 2001 era Kane. I'm trying to think who else here. Oh, the Briscoe brothers, man. The Briscoes,
Yeah. Ooh.
the Usos, and not the Usos with their faces painted. Usos like after that era and up to now. Yeah, I mean, like those are some of my favorite, teams of all time. And Boo and Rob Van Dam. There's one there. The Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. I actually really liked Triple H and Stone Cold when they were the two-man power trip, and they had I think Stone Cold was a champion, and then they were tag team champions, and Triple H was also the Intercontinental champion. I enjoyed that team too.
All right. So, from what I can see on your screen right now, you got a lot of champions on your roster. You got a lot of championships. What is your favorite championship of all time? It could be the Spinner Belt, Big Eagle, Intercontinental. What are some of your favorite designs and champion holders?
My favorite designs would have to be the World Heavyweight Championship. The big gold.
The big gold one, yeah.
That's a popular one, but I love that belt. That is like a looking belt. Oh yeah, I've got a few of those.
Yeah.
I have to say, I use it as the open weight championship, but
Open weight.
Championship that era.
This is the never open weight one, but
Oh yeah. So okay, that's pretty cool. The belts, the particular tag titles the Hardys have, I really like the way those look.
yeah, I got the
Also,
older ones.
the WWE version. Oh yeah, that's cool. The WWE version of the ECW Championship, which I have.
Oh yeah,
That is I know that was like the least popular era of ECW, but
yeah,
that belt was a good design. I remember when Matt Hardy had that. That was really another memory of my childhood. Whenever Matt Hardy was the ECW champion, I think he was US champion in the same year. But yeah, those are some of my favorite belts. And then the championship holders. Well, obviously the Hardys as tag team champions.
mm-hmm.
When CM Punk was champion. Whenever Jeff Hardy had the big gold, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite champion with the Intercontinental Championship would be like whenever The Rock had it and it had a purple strap. Like that was pretty cool. I like that. And I also really like the purple Cruiserweight Championship. Whenever there was like 5 Live and everything. I really like that. And it's a shame that they did away with the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah. But it is what it is, I guess. So we'll kind of go a little back on track with figures here. What are some of your favorite figures that you have currently or that you've wanted?
So my most recent favorite figure of the year, like this year, would have to be the Ultimate Edition Jeff Hardy that came out.
Yeah, I gotta get that one.
I'll take my phone off. Sure. Like this Jeff Hardy here is like the posability with this thing is tremendous, and the detail, like with how realistic his face looks.
Yeah.
And I just love everything about it, like the joints, everything. This is probably my favorite figure of the year. Another figure I enjoy is this particular Bobby Lashley here, the Hurt Business one.
The gold, yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked. You can't see with the ropes here. I've always liked this figure a lot since it came out last year. I have to say, this particular Kevin Steen figure, I really enjoy. I like the double jointed arms that they've started using. Like those are really cool.
Yeah, those are really good.
Those are such a game changer in terms of, you want to do stop motion or Pixar or whatever. It's a really cool figure. And then I have to say the Mace and T-Bar figure that had come out this year as well. And this is a team I've really been, pushing. I know this isn't the most popular team in real life. I have some big plans for them. So those would be some of my favorite figures that have come out recently. I'd say all time would be, well, I'll show you the CM Punk here. I originally had this when it came out,
Mm-hmm.
and it broke when I was in the middle of filming a match.
Oh,
So I went and purchased this on eBay last summer. Not well, the summer before. It cost me $200 to get this in the box.
gosh. Wow.
A figure from recently I really enjoyed is the Cesaro figure.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good details. The double jointed arms are a big thing for me. Again, trying to see here what else. The Hurricane figure, that's not somebody I really use very often, but I mean, this is a cool figure. A really cool figure. Kind of a goofy gimmick, but it's a cool figure.
Yeah.
That would have to be some of my favorite figures, aside from the custom of myself that I had made. Had somebody make me a few months ago.
Yeah, that looks really good. I like that. I'd like to get one of me. I'm just using a Cash Wheeler head because I got the mullet thing going on. I used to have a short mullet like he does, but
Oh yeah.
for now I'm just using that. But I'd like to get a better one because I'm not skinny, so it doesn't really look like me. So, what is your favorite part about pig fetting?
I love seeing nothing turn into something.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I like being able to take my ideas from paper and turn them into something. Like it's really cool when you see the whole show finally come together. Like
Right?
the ideas that you've had, like they actually, they it's like such a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I really, really, that's probably my favorite thing is like making it all happen, making it come together, like watching it come together is really neat. It's always been one of my favorite things about it.
Well, when there's favorite things about it, there's always not so favorite things. What is your least favorite part about
Oh,
it?
probably editing. God, that's that's such a headache. Like, for me, I use an iPhone, this particular phone here, to you know, do the pick fed. So let's just say, like, I had a match that was like 1,000 pictures, right?
Oh,
I
wow.
have to one by one select the pictures in Power Director and add them to the video.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have it set where it automatically trims the clips, but I have to go through and trim certain clips that aren't supposed to be like that particular length. Like they're supposed to be longer. Like maybe if it's a clip where you have to read something, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's my least favorite thing. Like that's very time consuming and it's just difficult to do sometimes. And I'm not really the greatest dude when it comes to like certain technology things. I would love to learn more,
Right.
but that's really just that's the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
My least favorite thing about pick fetting is the editing.
Yeah. 1,000 picks. That's crazy to think about. But I guess when you have like a big Royal Rumble type thing or something, you're gonna have a lot of pictures. I
Well,
try to keep it above
yeah.
300 for matches.
Well, see, I try to let the creativity flow sometimes. I mean, like,
Right.
there's certain matches where it's intended to be long, and there's certain matches where like it's a squash. It's a
Yeah.
couple moves and it's over. But there's times where I got two figures that I really like to pose with, and two wrestlers I really like, and I'm like, you know what, this could be a really good match. And then I kind of get into it, and I lose track of time and just keep going, and like next thing I know, I've spent 6 hours working on one match, and I'm like, oh,
That's pretty normal for me. I think 6 hours or longer for every match I do is about where it's at because I normally get distracted and play on my phone or mess with the dogs or have to reply to my fiance because she's like, "Why aren't you replying to me?" But yeah, it takes so long just taking pictures.
yeah,
The editing is long too. I don't realize it is, but it takes long with the commentating and finding voice clips and everything.
you know,
But
that's something I'd like to incorporate as commentary.
Yeah.
I have yet to, actually explore doing that, but
Mhm.
that's something in the future that I would definitely like to. I think that would really add a whole nother aspect to this.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to do than not having it because you can talk and add more story by just commentating about the match.
Yeah, and
Like so and so did this and so did that. So
I think it gives the viewer more of like a kind of an idea of what you're trying to convey to them through the match and through the segments that you've done, because I feel like sometimes, especially if somebody just picks up your Fed and they just, switch to a certain match or only look at a certain match,
hmm
they may not know why you have so and so in a match together. Because there is matches
exactly.
sometimes where there's really no reason, it's just a competition sort of thing. But then there's times where it's like, well, this guy screwed this guy over and now they're in a match and blah blah blah. There's all these things that go into it.
Yeah, that's what I like to. I try to add that in when I'm commentating, but a lot. My most recent stuff, like if you miss it, I talk about how this match came along because I had a fan votes for my social media title, which Cody Rhodes holds, and the fans will be voting on who he challenges, and then I decide the match. But recently, I just had um, Malachi Black challenge him, so I don't think I'm gonna have a vote for that one. This is kind of obvious. That's where I was leading, but yeah, commentary's pretty big to me because listening to music and watching figures move around, I can watch it, but it's just not as fun.
I
To be honest.
was gonna say that's what my stuff is, usually.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like, see, what I do is kind of to um, make like the comment, like to give the illusion of commentary, is like I do the speech bubbles.
Uh-huh.
Right. Anyways, I do like the speech bubbles,
Yeah.
have the commentators say whatever it is they're gonna say. But yeah, that's something I do to try to give the illusion of commentary.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not something I can sit there and watch for 30 minutes or longer. Like maybe at work or something, then I just need something to drown out the work. But yeah. So we'll move on from that. So there's a lot of new figures coming out. WWE Mattel showed a lot of stuff recently at the Hogan thing. What are some figures that you were wanting to get that are coming out recently, or stuff that's already came out and you just don't have and you want?
Well, in terms of new stuff, what they unveiled that day,
Mm-hmm.
that the Bobby Lashley with the red tights.
Yeah,
That's something that I'm probably gonna get because I have a few Bobby Lashleys. I have the Hurt Business one, and then I have the more recent one.
the white one.
Yeah, the this one here, the black and white one.
I think I recently picked that one up just because I needed Bobby Lashley in my Fed someday. So.
Yeah, so that's something that I want. The red one is something I definitely want to get. Just because I like having multiple attires for certain wrestlers. Because
Yeah,
my whole thing
that's
is
always great.
realism. My whole thing is being realistic, and it's realistic for a wrestler to not always wear the same tights or the same attire.
Right.
And that's kind of like what I did with Jeff Hardy. I have numerous Jeff Hardy figures, and I make him wear different attires for different shows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then probably some older figures that I just haven't picked up yet that I have been eyeballing are the white Keith Lee, where he has the white trunks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And again, same reason I already mentioned, because I have the blue Keith Lee and the black one. Uh, the TNA toy, I think it's Toy Biz who made it, the Rhino figure. Because I very seldomly use Rhino, but that figure looks really cool, and it looks like it has some good articulation points. I want to get a few more Rey Mysterios. I just
That was a
recently got
bunch.
an orange and black one. but I would like to have a few more simply for the fact of I want to have multiple tires because he's somebody who definitely does not wear the same attires every show.
Yeah.
Um, and that new AJ Styles that Monday Night Raw one from like Survivor Series, and
Hmm.
the newest one that they unveiled, that like white and light blue one.
The ultimate one, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. Like that is something that I want to get. That is a really neat figure, and I think having an AJ Styles with the double jointed arms is like gonna make posing even so much better with him.
Right.
Uh,
And so,
I hope they come out with an Elite Braun Breaker soon. 'Cause
yeah.
I have my custom one here that I made, which is not not very good, but I used a Tommy Dreamer head from a Jax figure.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean it looks okay.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised, and actually a lot of people thought it looked okay too. So
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that same thing if I ever found that basic one, but I doubt that I'll ever come to any of my stores. So, but yeah, there's a lot of great figures that are coming out, and just it's gonna hurt the wallet. But
oh yeah, I know what you mean.
I only got one Rey Mysterio, and I already know when I get him somehow worked into my pick fed, I'm gonna want to get a bunch more just so it's realistic.
Yeah, that's
So
that's exactly like my thing. I like having like I said, numerous attires.
yeah, that's why I kind of like the AW figures because you could just swap the bottoms off for another. Like I could put these legs on someone else, and they got a whole new
Yeah,
outfit.
you know
So
the AEW figures are really cool, but my whole thing with it is like sometimes they're really hard to pose with.
yeah,
And some of the articulation is really good, and some of it's weird. And my biggest complaint would be like some of the John Moxley figures,
yeah, they're like insanely tall and just
or like the Young Bucks figures, the purple and like yellow ones. Those
uh-huh.
and or the FTR figures. I have the FTR figures, and like they're cool looking figures, but for one, they don't really look like Dax and Cash, and
Mm-hmm.
two, I think the bodies are incorrect looking. Like it doesn't look like their bodies. They're
Yeah.
not realistic looking. So I was thinking about, you asked about figures I wanted to get that had already come out, and I've been watching on eBay. Uh, the Mattel ones, the Elite ones that had come out some years back.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of maybe going to wait on those, and I'll have to just start using, the AEW ones
Mm-hmm.
whenever I decide to bring them back to my Fed. They're both injured currently.
Oh.
So,
All right. What are some things that you would like to change about your pick fed or add into it?
um, well, I was thinking about getting one of those backgrounds that makes it appear like it's a larger arena, like it's a larger venue. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what the company's called, but everybody has those. Like, there's a ton of people that have
Yeah,
those
I got
backgrounds.
mine from Russell-listic, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, what did something like that run you, if you don't mind
The
asking?
design, they just send you the design. They're like $15, but you could either make this design by yourself, which I think would be really hard, or just pay $15 and then print out a bunch of stuff, which I think was another 15 if you go to a store. But if you like have a printer of your own, it's going to be free, of course, or you work where there's a printer. But yeah, I got this for 15. I got this gorilla room for like 7, and this all you got to do is cut them out and put them on cardboard. And then I also got this backstage arena. I think was like $10. The different ways you can put it together, but I made it my secondary arena for now until I get some other stuff. But yeah, it's cheaper than buying those like $80 ones, but it's kind of hard to make. So
Well, see, somebody just commented at Extreme Sets. That's what I was
yeah,
thinking of. I
yeah,
was
the
just,
Extreme Sets one's like 80 some dollars. I wanted that one, but all the reviews I've seen, it's super hard to make, and pieces are so hard to put
Well,
together or something.
what I would do is I would just fasten it to this wood here that I have.
Yeah.
I built this out of plywood. Last January I went and bought plywood and picked it up, and I cut this and then I painted it and I fastened it together, and then I had to dismantle it, and then because I moved, and then I put it together when I moved. So I built this myself, and I really like how it kind of looks like a small venue. Like it reminds me of Ring of Honor, well, Ring of Honor before Tony Khan owned it. Like, it was always a small venue, but there was always like some decent names in it. So that's kind of how I viewed it. But I've always thought about, well, for certain shows, it'd be really cool to have like a big arena, like a pay-per-view or something.
Yeah, I'd like to get more crowd members because I got like a huge gap right here, and I don't even use that gap. I don't have enough figures. These are all the figures I have that I want to put in my crowd, so I can't really. And I don't have a tier thing to make the crowd stand out more.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my arena's all right for what it is.
It looks pretty good. I mean, I'd say it's bad compared to some of the arenas.
Yeah, but they got tens and thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, so they can afford that stuff.
Oh,
So,
well, I know what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
I've been
WFC.
collecting figures though for years, so that's why I have a decently sized crowd, and I have plenty of more figures. The only reason I don't use some of them in the crowd is because it's just not realistic, to have some dude in like tights in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did have T-shirts on my guys. Like some of these guys I got these guys got T-shirts on, but I was like, I need those for entrances, so I took them off of a lot of them.
Well, use T-shirts for guys for entrances. Like I have, spare shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
I pick figures that have shirts already on them, or guys that are like kind of clothed.
Yeah. I got a few of those in there somewhere, but this is my box of clothes.
Yeah, you got good stuff there. I mean, I've got a drawer like that with some shirts in it and belts.
Oh no.
I got lots of stuff.
Yeah. So, speaking on the arena, if you want to show everyone your arena real quick, like behind the scenes, like
Yeah,
what it looks like in your point of view.
Well, I mean, lamp here. I got a light I put up. This is the entranceway that I built
I really
a while
like
ago.
that entranceway.
This is actually on like a dresser sort of thing, and I have the figures in the drawers here. And then I have accessories over here. Everything's organized that way. It's easy for me to to get to everything. But anyways, yeah, here's the arena here. I built this ramp with this right here with like my work. They sell these shelves, and the box will come with these spacers. And I asked if I could have them. They were saving them for whatever reason. So I made this. It'll probably look better if I painted it, but it's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's not. I like it.
I use VHS tapes and I cover them up, to look like a barricade. And I don't know why this isn't focusing like it normally does, but anyways, there's the crowd behind there. There's my camera guy. There's that figure there is supposed to be a security guard, but that's the figure I used to use as myself. You can see there. Got commentary here. I got, Wade Barrett, Stu Bennett is what I call him. That's his real name. And then there's Dwayne Shafts. Don't ask about the name. There's the timekeepers area.
Yeah, I really like your arena. I'd like to do that for my Horizon show, something like that. Simple little entrance instead of having a big ass screen.
I don't mind like having different, like the littler one. I feel that it's a lot more simpler, like you said. I have other. I'm going to build an entrance soon for my Christmas pay-per-view because that's like my biggest show.
Yeah.
But I have other entrance ways and ramps and things that I previously used that I will use again at some point. However, I like the little one right now, and it was something I made a while ago, and it just turned out really well. It was a simple thing.
Yeah, I'd like to get a nice solid one. The AW one's nice and all, but it's just not solid enough. I'm I I want to work on some other designs, but
I
really
like
don't have the money to do.
behind it. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm thinking for my Riot pay per view, I'm going to just take these tunnels out and replace it with like steel cages or something. I don't know
Yeah,
yet, but yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
that'll be my just simple little tiny changes, add decorations like I did at my.
I could show you from a distance here if you want to really see
Yeah,
how big this thing is.
I'll show mine too. I'll stand back.
I mean, that's
See what
pretty big here. There's my
I
table.
got another guy that was using his dresser, but his was he just had one little tiny one.
Well,
The
I
guy I
had
talked with last week, but I got me a whole ping pong table here, my whole arena.
uh, I've had this for this dresser for years. It's actually not even my dresser. I just use it. I've always used it for this, even whenever I was a kid. It was something I got for free, and it's this thing's heavy. Whenever I moved, I had people help me move it. Like this thing's a well built dresser. I'll put it to you that way. Hold all my crap.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, that's good. Mine's a ping pong table, so if I bump it, it's everything might fall down. So I gotta be very careful with my.
That would be frustrating.
Yeah, and I guess since we're still on this topic, I kind of show behind the scenes of how stuff's held up. I literally have this little whatever it is CD holder holding this side up, and then the back of this side is just a block of wood.
Yeah,
So
I built
very
out of
secure.
yeah I built this out of plywood, so this thing's held together with screws. So it's
Yeah,
not.
I wish I did that, but I don't have. I had a bunch of cardboard because I just moved. I moved to this house and I had a bunch of cardboard, so it's easier to use cardboard. I thought, but plywood would be nice. But yeah, that's our arenas, everyone. So you mentioned. I think you said you started watching wrestling when you were 7, maybe, or maybe it was sooner. But what made you? What's your first memory that you can say made you fall in love with wrestling?
Um, Probably. So when I was and I had gotten a PlayStation 1.
Oh
Um,
wow!
at this point, it was like a really old console, right?
Uh,
And my dad found it somewhere. So, anyways, I went ahead and it had WWF SmackDown 2 on there. And at this point, I didn't know. I like what wrestling was, but I'd never really watched it.
yeah,
So I'm playing the game and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And then next thing I know, I like create a wrestler and like this is where, Mike Mora comes from. And, like next thing I know, I'm like, you know, wrestling people on there. And then like was like, oh, this stuff's on TV. And then I start watching it and I'm like, as a little kid, like trying to beat the shit out of my dad. And my dad's like using like, actual fighting stuff. And he's like fucking 7-year-old me up, and like, anyway, so that was so good. That's like kind of where it started. Those are the first really good memories. And I remember doing that, and I remember I'd dress up and get all my wrestling stuff on to like dad, and then he'd like, embarrass me and like, rub my face in the floor, and, just, but it was good times.
yeah. All right. So there's a lot of guys just now starting out. You said you've been doing this since I think 2020-ish. What would you tell someone that's just starting out how to start your pick fed, what they need to do to grow, and what they should do in their pick fed?
Um, well, the first thing is, write down your shows, write your storyline, and follow your show and take your time with it. The biggest thing I think when a lot of people start out is they want to hurry. They maybe lose interest in certain storylines. And I think the biggest thing is to take your time, because this is a reflection of your work, right? It may not be that serious or that deep for everybody, but for me personally, it is. This is a reflection of you, and you want people to look at it and say, wow, this is really cool. I did a really good job. So take your time with it. Write out your storylines, follow your storylines. I'm not saying to follow them too. It's okay to, change things here and there, and there's nothing wrong with that. Try to post something daily. That way your page appears active.
Yeah.
And that'll bring more eyes to your page, and that'll be more people to see the things you create. I'd also say, go out there and follow other pick feds who, that you actually like, and follow new pick feds as well. And those people will see that you followed them, and they'll say, oh, let me check this guy out. And that'll be more eyes, that are on your account. And that'll be kind of a way to get yourself out and be able to share with everybody, the stuff that you create, and show them the cool stuff that you do. So those are my biggest pieces of advice. And another piece of advice is, do this, whatever your goal is with this. Your main reason for doing this should be because you love to do it, because this is something that you enjoy, something that you, whether you love to do it, you just like to do it, whatever it is, do it because it's fun and what you love to do. Plain and simple. That should be your main reason.
Yeah. I absolutely agree on that. So you said write stuff down. So I'm guessing that's kind of your process of things, is writing stuff down. I just recently started writing stuff down for mine. That's where I'm writing all the notes down for the just live and future lives. Yeah. But what is your process for your shows and your pick fed?
What do you mean by the writing process?
Yeah, what's your process of setting up a match, setting up storylines, setting up your upcoming shows and stuff?
So, okay, I write down the show as it's going to happen, right? So from start to finish. And I think to myself, or sometimes I'll even make a checklist, you have these, X amount of wrestlers that need to be featured on your show because they've been an important part. So I write the show and I make sure to meet that criteria, have those certain wrestlers on the show, have these certain matches happen because you said in the previous episode you were going to see this match. Make sure you do that.
Right.
And then I write out the promos word for word, start to finish.
Yeah.
Also, whenever I write down the shows, even for the next show, I'll do another checklist. Okay, this show had X, Y, and Z. The next show needs to have this because you're going to say in this show that that's going to happen the next show. So that's kind of the way that I do that, so that everything, all the storylines continue, and there isn't an episode where somebody's like, well, what the hell happened to Killer Cross and Bobby Lashley? I didn't hear nothing about it. Is that over? Assuming somebody really follows my stuff that closely, but that's the way I like to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing now. I'm writing stuff down. I'm not going for my main show, I'm not going word for word everything that's going to happen. I just write down my matches I'm wanting, what promos I want to go look online for to piece together and make a promo. And that's how I write mine. But for my Horizon show, I'm writing it exactly what I want them to say, what moves I want them to do, because the Horizon show is like a, what's it called? Just the ending of a match. It's not a full match.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. I might do highlights later on, or maybe full matches later on, but like for a pay per view or something. But right now, it's just a simple, quick little show to put out after my main show. But yeah, everyone, you should totally get a notebook and write your stuff down, your plans. It's a great way to remember stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. And like I said, I've been writing storylines for my figures since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the notebook still. I have a stack of notebooks of
Wow.
stories I've written over the years and things that I've done and matches and shows, and it's just always been something I've done.
Mm-hmm. Well, you talked about how to start your pick fed. What do you think someone should, your advice on how to do it? Um, Now, this is probably a little harder for people to answer because some guys might not be super big, but what is a way for people to grow their pick fed, like as followers, uh, likes, views, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I guess first of all, have good interactions, and
Mm-hmm.
don't go around and if you're gonna comment something, be positive. Don't, if you're gonna go around and be a jerk, like people probably you're gonna like burn some bridges. I think that's common knowledge. Like I don't really think I have to say that.
Right.
The next thing is make good content. I'm not saying like I'm the best in the world and I make the best content, but that goes back to me saying like put your time into it, take your time. uh, that way you can put the best out there, you the best representation of your work. And I think if people see that you really are working hard at this and you really are trying hard and you really are putting time into it, then they'll appreciate that and they'll say, you know what, this guy put a lot of time into this. That I can really appreciate that. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I would say also too, posting daily helps get eyes on your account. Posting elsewhere, you don't have to pigeonhole yourself to Instagram. I mean, you could, TikTok's a great, easy platform.
Yeah.
You post pay-per-views on YouTube and direct people to there. YouTube's a hard platform, though. I got
Yeah. I I started out like when I started on Instagram, I had maybe 10 followers on YouTube. I've grown to over 60 now, but YouTube is super hard to grow on, I think. It's just
absolutely. It's been that way for a while now.
yeah.
Some years back, I used to do some gaming videos on there, and I actually got a few hundred subscribers, and that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good for YouTube, I would say.
Yeah.
And it was like that was such a hard platform to like get yourself out there on, because the algorithm is so strange as to how it recommends videos to people. And you'd have one video, you'd post it and it'd get 5 views, and then you'd have another video, you'd post it and it would be like 1,000 views. It was
Right.
real weird thing. And that still happens now. Even like I also post on YouTube. I had like one show, I don't know, 30 views, and then the other show was like, I don't know, 100, 200 views, and I'm like, huh, okay. And what's funny is the video that had 200 views, I forgot to put tags in, and it got more views than the videos that had
Right.
tags. So
Right.
odd.
I don't. That's something I don't understand. YouTube's very hard because I'm starting to average over 50 views, I think. But the videos that don't do very well for me, I think, are ones like my reviews, my this is my exclusive stuff on YouTube. I do exclusive reviews, toy hunts, and recently I posted my first AEW show I went to. I posted that on there, and I don't feel like those do very well for me as my resurgence shows. I post on there get over like 100 views recently, but it's so weird because the short ones you would feel like they'd get more views because they're shorter, but honestly, I got a 47-minute video on there, and there's way more views than my 18-minute videos. So I don't know how YouTube works, but I started on Facebook, and that's I think is to start off. You can get to 100 over 100 real quick, but after that, it's just horrible. I just think Instagram's the best way to go
Yeah, I think
because
it's the best platform in terms of for pick fetting.
mm-hmm.
maybe not for everything. Here, I'm going to take a quick second. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, he's gone, everyone. Put your questions in for the end. I don't know how you put your questions in, but I'm sure you guys have joined a live. But there is a question thing. You can click down there next to the comments somewhere, and you can put your questions in there, and then at the end we will answer those. So while he's gone, you can put those in, or you can just comment them, and I'll try to scroll through and find them later, whatever way you want to do that. But we're getting pretty close to the end here. My dog's barking. But yeah, hopefully invite some more people if they want to get some quick questions in. You can do repeat questions, but it is somewhat annoying. But I understand because some people don't have the time to completely watch this for an hour long and know everything. But yeah, get your questions in.
I have returned. I just thought of something. You know how you asked me about what advice I could give people? Something that I do, and this may not work for everybody, but it would be, to kind of schedule this in a way so that you don't burn yourself out. That way you can be more consistent. So what I do personally is I work on this every Thursday. I will work on it because that's when I'm off work. I'll work on it, I don't know, 8-10 hours out of the day. I know that sounds insane, but that's what I do.
It's pretty normal.
And then the weekend, I get every other weekend off of work. And usually Saturday or Sunday, whatever day, one of those days, I will work on it the entire well. And I have a show that comes out every 2 weeks. So that gives me, I don't know, 3 days to work on it. And I also work on it Tuesday nights typically for a few hours. And that's it. And then the rest of the time, I'm focused on other things. So, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I go to the gym. Or, I will watch the wrestling, try to keep up on that, or whatever. I do. So you have to kind of incorporate doing other things instead of doing this all the time. Because if you come every day, like after work or after school or whatever, and you try to work on your Fed, you may be able to do that. But the problem is you're going to burn yourself out because you've done it every day. It's fine to do it a few times a week, but every day, that's when you get
burned out.
When you're burned out.
I see a lot of people doing that.
Myself is sometimes I couldn't come home from work and do this because I would just get frustrated. I just can't.
Exactly.
Especially after dealing with idiots all day, and then I come here and I'm trying to pose a figure and it falls over.
Just won't. Yeah. I'm surprised I haven't broke more figures. I've only broken one so far, and my Sarge back there, my ref, he is a lot thicker now. I kind of just fucking spiked him on the ground because he just wouldn't stand there in the background of my flipping picture. I just spiked him and he broke his arm, broke his head off. But yeah, that's
broken a figure yet though. Not at least not intentionally. I've never broken one.
Yeah.
I'm lucky there.
I couldn't handle it anymore. He just won't stand at all. The refs are. So if you guys ever want to add a ref, it looks good when you're doing the counting, but if you're trying to have them stand in the background, it's a pain because you finally get your guys posed perfectly, and then your ref falls. You got to pick him up, and then your guys fall, and you're like, oh! But yeah, just annoying stuff. Alrighty. We got one question here real quick we'll answer. United Wrestling, if you're still here. He asked, how many pay-per-views do you like to do per year?
Well, see, that depends. So not recently. This past year is when I started doing the every 2 weeks thing, like I said, having an episode drop every 2 weeks. So that kind of extends the amount of time in between pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So I would say I have a pay-per-view every probably 2 to 3 months. A pay-per-view will come out. I know recently, I did the Civil War pay-per-view right before Thanksgiving. Or maybe it was after. I don't know. It was right around Thanksgiving. And then I'm going to do one episode of Warzone and then the Christmas pay-per-view. And then that'll be the last, pay-per-view for a few months because I'm going to take a break in January. But Back in the summer, I did 2 pay-per-views back to back, which I never do, but it was kind of a special thing because I had taken a break then for a few weeks.
Yeah.
I usually take a break every 6 months, but anyways, um, I don't know. We'll say 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year, somewhere around there.
Yeah. I I recently started, so I only got one pay per view in my bag, and now I got two. I'm not. I like to keep a schedule every 2 weeks. My main show, and then the week after that, my Horizon Pick Fed show. Just an easy thing I do. But my pay per views, I'm wanting to do like what you're doing, 4 or 5. So I got two right now that are named. Still thinking of other ideas because I need a WrestleMania type name. I don't want to use WrestleMania or one of the AEW pay per view names or Impact names. I want to make my own name. So that's the issue I'm having there. But yeah, 4 or 5 pay per views a year is, I think, is a good number because I see other guys that are seems like they're doing a pay per view every other week, and it's just, dude, come on, this it gets old, but that's what they do. It's not what I do. So I agree on that 4 to 5 range on your pay per views. But looks like we're getting some more questions. Do you do a ranking system for your challengers or for your champions?
I used to do that. Not this past year. I haven't done that. I kind of do it in my head though. So I usually will push certain people or teams, and I will have them usually do really well. And usually, the ones who do very well or do best will end up being some sort of number one contest match, and then end up getting a shot at champion. So I kind of do that, but not really. I mean, I do it in my head. I used to do it though,
Yeah.
but that's something I might consider doing again because I think it'll help keep things a little more organized. And I can also even make it like a gimmick for the show, or have the WWFF ranking system. Who's going to get closer to the tag team titles, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of write all my stuff down, single tag, all this stuff. I got a ranking system that I like to post after my resurgence shows.
I see that.
I just want to have something to post. I just want stuff to be able to post every week. But yeah, it's kind of difficult because I got guys that are like 2-0, 1-0, that are unbeaten. Like CM Punk right now, he's 2-0. But I got guys that are 5-2, 3-1. It's kind of difficult to rank correctly without it being weird and not make sense. But I think it's working out pretty well right now. But yeah. We also have Hustle Toy Collector's got 2 questions here for us. Do you have a brand split?
Um, Not currently, because there's only one show. However, back in 2020, I had 2 shows. So when I had started this Fed, it was like the idea was this is an ECW reboot, and I had purchased the rights to ECW and from WWE. But it wasn't going to be an ECW reboot in the sense of like it was going to be all these originals coming back. However, there was a few. It was going to be like a new company that just was under the ECW banner. And so then I ended up making another show called Warzone, and then I was like, it's kind of a lot for me to put 2 shows out all the time.
Yeah.
Like I need to eliminate one, and I was like, well, it's not really that realistic to have ECW as a show because WWE would never give up the rights to that. I was like, all right, we're gonna have to do some kind of like invasion angle between the two, and get rid of one of them. So I got rid of ECW, and that's where Warzone. That's why I have Warzone now.
Yeah. I just now recently started my Horizon show. I don't consider it a brand split because, I mean, it kind of is because I did take some members from like Riho and Sheeta here. They were part of the original roster, so was Bo and him. But I think feel like it's more of a developmental, like an NXT, not more like a SmackDown Raw type deal. But hopefully down the line it can be more like that. But for right now, it's just like a Raw NXT type thing. But we also got another question. How do you script for your Fed matches? You kind of went over that earlier. Kind of writes it down in a book like this, which I also do. But if you want to, you can answer that a little bit better for him if you want.
I think perhaps he means, do I script out like each individual move? If
Oh,
that's his question, because I know there's people that do that. If
I
that's
do that,
the
yeah.
question, I do not do that because I don't know. I feel like I'm usually good. Like I have enough creativity that I can just, as the match goes on, I get a feel for where things are going to go. Now that doesn't mean I don't think about it beforehand. There's times where I'll think about it and go, okay, it would be good if it started out this way, and then it transitioned into this, and then this person interferes. So I kind of think it out in my head, and then other times it'll be, okay, I've thought this out, but the rest of it just comes naturally as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually try to hit certain guys. I like to try to have them hit most of their key moves.
Right.
So yeah.
Kind of going off that. From our Horizon show, I do completely write it down here, move by move, word by word, just because it's more of a pig fed show instead of the stop motion stuff. For the stop motion, I kind of do it on the fly. The match, I just set up the who's fighting each other, and I just put it all together as I go, which might make it take longer because I have to stop and think, what do I do next? But yeah. What current wrestling content gives you inspiration for your show? Good
Um,
question.
that is a good question. It's hard to say because I don't want to take anything from what we're seeing on TV.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's funny though. Sometimes I'll have a storyline in mind and be like, "Oh, that's great," and then I like to on, you know, Raw or SmackDown or AEW, and then they end up having the same dudes in a storyline, and I'm like, "Oh, come on," you know. But I would have to say, all the shows that are currently on, like Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, they give me inspiration because
Mm-hmm.
I get to see different guys that actually wrestle currently. Well, I use currently wrestles anyways, but the point is, I get to see them in real life and see what they're doing, and I think to myself, I really don't like that guy is not getting a good shot at things, or I don't like that this guy isn't being used more, or this guy's an animal. Why isn't he winning more? So I think, you know what? I'm gonna make him good or something. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I take it from.
That's kind of my inspiration for this Horizon show because I want to use those guys that aren't very popular or not getting that very many wins and give them somewhere to win. So, but I do take a lot of stuff that's happened and that is currently happening because I'm doing the MJF CM Punk feud, which I think is best feud recently. I'm also doing the Cody Malachi feud, which I'm kind of adding a little bit more to that, but I am doing current stuff in my Fed because I like to add the promos that they've done. So that's kind of why I use current stuff because I like to add the promos in and have them actually talking instead of like talking for them or doing text. So yeah. Crossover shows. I have not really, but I think he has. If you want to talk about your crossover shows that you've done,
Are you talking like joint shows?
I'm thinking that's what he means. Joint show crossovers.
I've had an awful experience with that.
Right.
Uh,
That's why I don't want to do it yet.
well, so there was one I was supposed to be part of, and I had backed out because it doesn't matter. I backed out, and other people backed out,
Yeah.
and I kind of wish I would have stayed a part of it because, it would have probably good exposure, but that defeated the purpose of why I backed out. So, anyways, I backed out of that, and then I went and did this really small thing with these other guys and we posted the matches we were going to make for that original show. And I gave the other guys credit and like shared their matches to my story, and they did not do the same for me. And that was kind of like, what the hell?
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to myself and do my thing here. And to be honest with you, I was reluctant at first, like to do this interview because I was like, oh, this is such a cool idea, fun. And then I was like, oh, what if it ends up like this last? Show? But I'm glad that I did it. So
Yeah, I'm glad you did too. And it's been fun so far. There's going to be a lot of bigger names coming in. Not saying that you're not a big name. You've got way more followers than I do, which is going to help me out. And I hope this helps you out, gets your ideas out there. And
oh yeah, same to you, man. I really think you're doing some cool stuff with interviews because nobody else does anything like this in the Pick
yeah,
Fed community. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, and although I have a lot of followers, I don't really get like that many likes or views. So,
Yeah.
you know, this may help me in that department. Not in it. I'm not saying that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That is
That's kind of what it's about, but it's not really. I just
right,
want
right.
to just chat with people about their feds to get to know them more. Because
Yeah,
some
sure.
people just talking to and texting, that's all right, but you don't really get to hear them out very well through text. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, if we got any more questions here, feel free to ask them. But this is when I'll announce the next person next week on Monday. It's going to be a little different because I won't be at home, so I hope I can find a place that has good internet and I can actually chat with this guy. But we are going to be talking with Texas Wrestling Federation,
He's a
TWF. I think that's what it's. I think it's Texas Wrestling Federation, but I could be wrong. But uh, I'm on a Facebook group. He messaged me on there, commented on my stuff, and he said he would be interested. So he also helped me with securing a big name for the start of next year. Because after Texas Wrestling Federation, I will be taking 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. But the start of the year will be a huge pick Fed name, and I can't wait to announce that after his get to know that Fed. But I thank you, United Wrestling Alliance. That's real fun. But thank you, WWF. Sorry, just
all
a lot
right.
of letters there. But you're good. But thank you for joining, and thanks for sharing this every day as many times as you could this week. That's what I like to see. That's want to get people to come in here and watch. I try to share at least twice a week, 3 times a week. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Everyone, definitely go make sure to follow him on all his platforms, wherever he is, YouTube, Instagram, and he's got great stuff going on. He's got a great mind of wrestling. Real fun guy. So make sure to go follow him. And thanks everyone that watched.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. This was something fun, and thanks for doing this. I appreciate it, and I'm glad the guy in the comments said he's going to be following the show. I'm excited to have you follow the show. So.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone, and thank you for being here. So that's where we're gonna end it off here, unless we got one last question. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty. Well, thank you, dude.
All right, thanks, and I really appreciate it.
Bye.